Yeah, good afternoon, students. So, in the previous class, we had a discussion on introduction to functions. That is, why we have to use the functions, what are the advantages of functions, and as well as we categorized the functions into two different types: user-defined functions and system-defined functions. And we had a discussion on how a user-defined function can be defined and as well as declared, that we have seen with an example program. Now in today's class, we would like to discuss about what is a function prototype and what are the different categories of user-defined functions based on the number of based on whether the function is going to take arguments or not, and whether the function is going to return a value or not. Based on that, we are going to categorize the functions into different types. So that we are going to discuss in today's class. Now I would like to share my screen. So hope my screen is visible to you. So function prototype. So this is what the lecture level outcome of this today's session is, that on completion of this session, students should able to use function prototyping in effective C programming. So what is the function prototype here in this? What is the declaration of the function and what is the definition of the function? These two things you have to understand: declaration of the function and definition of the function. Declaration means that just like a variable declaration, you would like to declare a function in the program. So the declaration includes return type, function name, and optionally the arguments the function is taking. Just like declaring a variable, just like when you want to use a variable in the program, for example, integer x you want to use, so you will declare it prior to the usage of this particular variable. In the same manner, whenever you are using a function, user defined function in the program, or calling that function in the main, you can declare first of all that particular function. What is the return type, what is the function name, what parameters if the function is taking. That is function declaration. Coming to the second important thing is that function definition. Function definition is nothing but it includes the function body along with the function declaration. This is what we are calling it as. It is simple thing is that it is what we have done in the declaration part: return type, function name, and optional arguments, then the function body. The function body is nothing but set of statements which are written for performing some specific task. For example, if you take here a function, addition is a function, it is not written anything, so void, and it is taking two parameters, one is int and another one is also integer x and y. So void addition int x comma y, then printf addition is equal to x plus y. This is what we are calling it as a function definition, and this is what the function declaration is. So function prototype, also known as function declaration. A function declaration tells the compiler about what is the function name, how it will be called, what are the parameters the function is taking, is the function is going to return a value or not. These are the things the function declaration will tell to the compiler. It defines a function before it is being used or called. A function prototype needs to be written at the beginning of the program. So this is a syntax: return type, function name, optionally argument 1, argument 2, then semicolon. So example is here void addition int comma int. So addition is a function name taking two integer values, two integer parameters, returning nothing, void. So this is an example program here. Write a program to add two numbers using add int comma int function. So we want to declare a function. So this is also nothing but function prototype, add function name. So in the main function, int a equal to 5, b equal to 6, and I'm calling this function add a comma b. We are calling this function. This statement is called it as a function call. So now this is what we are calling it as a function definition. So we are writing the body of the function. So void add int x comma int y, printf addition is equal to x plus y. This is what we are calling it as a function definition. Fine. So this is another important second method of writing this function here. So add int add x comma y, here the function declaration, and then we are writing this function a int a equal to 5, b equal to 6, and then sum is equal to add a comma b. So this is a function call, and this particular function add function is going to return a value which is a integer value it is going to return. So when a function is returning a value, to catch hold of that particular value, we have to assign this function call statement to an appropriate variable, and that particular variable we are using here to display in the main function itself. So we are declaring once after declaring the function, now we are writing the function body here. If you see that int add int x comma int y, int result equal to x plus y, then return result. So this result value is returned to this main function. So this main function is calling add function. So that's the reason this main function is called it as, it is a calling function. It is called it as a calling function, and this add is a function which is called by main function. So this is called it as a called function. Okay, so this is called it as a called function. So this is a called function and this is a calling function. Fine. So this is what we are calling it as the functions. So if the function is returning some value, the function call statement has to be assigned to the appropriate variable. So when we are passing the values to the function, this is what the main purpose here, to pass some data to a function, to send some data to a function, we will pass some data. So that is between the functions. If you want to perform some sort of data transfer, we will do by passing of the parameters. So values that are passed to the called function from the main function are called it as actual parameters. The variables declared in the function prototype or definition are known it as formal parameters. When a method or a function is called, the formal parameters is temporarily bound to the actual parameter. So these are here, this is add is a function. So the parameters which are given in the function call statement here, a and b, these are called it as actual parameters. And here int x comma int y, x and y, here we are calling it as a formal parameters. Okay, so actual and formal parameters. So the return statement, if you take it as, if a function is returning a value to a calling function, that is a main function, so it needs to use the return keyword. So the called function can only return one value for a call. So return simply here, if you don't want to return anything, just you can write simply return, or if you want to return some value, return some variable name or some expression also you can write it as. So this is an example program to find the maximum between a and b, two numbers if you are passing that. So we are writing a max function. So it takes a and b two values and returns which one is maximum between a and b. If a is greater than b, return a is, and else return b. So that b value or a value, whatever it is returned, that will be catched in this max val variable. So that is the reason here the function call statement max of a comma b, this is a function call statement, is assigned to a variable to catch hold of the return value by this particular function. Fine. So that value we are displaying here. Got the point? This is a very simple program here. Now coming to this lecture level practice problem here, so you should able to develop a C program to implement simple calculator using these particular functions with the written values. So these are the further readings corresponding to this particular today's topic. So that is programming in C. In this particular textbook, chapter number is 8, user defined functions. If you see that, you can able to get these topics related to this today's session. So any doubts you have? If you don't have any doubts, now I will stop my session. So thank you one and all.